What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and with the season finale of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. being what it was kind of nuts. And so I figured a lot of you guys probably have a whole lot of questions. For example, what was the secret group, or what is the secret group that Coulson and Skye are forming with the Terrigen Crystals being at the bottom of the ocean? Does this mean we're going to see global Terrigenesis? And what in the hell happened to Jemma Simmons? So what I've done is I've made this quick video to basically try to answer these questions as best I can. I've basically gone through every bit of information that we have so far, and I'm trying to organize this in a way that I think it'll make sense. So I think what we should do here is start with the first question. The group that is being formed by Skye and Coulson. Now, this group is most likely going to be the group called the Secret Warriors. The Secret Warriors were a group that was created in Marvel Comics by Brian Michael Bendis in 2008 during the events of Secret Invasion. And what had happened here was that during the Secret Invasion event, the shape-shifting Skrulls, the eternal enemy of the Kree, had basically begun replacing the entire Earth's population with Skrull replicates. Now, of course, they were doing this secretly. No one really knew it was happening, but Nick Fury was the first one to figure it out. And so what happened was Nick Fury basically assembled a team of young adult superpowered S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, one of whom was Daisy Johnson. Now, where Nick Fury was basically the leader of this group, Daisy Johnson was like the second in command, or she was like the field commander for the group, if that makes any sense. But she was basically the one in charge directly under Nick Fury. Now, after the events of Age of Ultron, as we know, it appears as though Nick Fury has basically undertaken the role of being director of S.H.I.E.L.D. again. And so it looks like Agent Coulson will most likely take the place of being the head of the Secret Warriors group, and that'll pretty much give him a place to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because right now, if Nick Fury is back being the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., there's really no place for Phil Coulson to go. But again, at this point, it's really impossible to know in terms of what will actually happen. But it seems pretty solid that that will be the case. Now, the second item on our list is whether or not global Terrigenesis will take place with the Terrigen Crystals that are at the bottom of the ocean. In truth, the answer to this question is most likely yes. And there's actually a precedent in Marvel Comics for this happening. During the Infinity event, when Black Bolt, the king of the Inhumans, detonated the Terrigen bomb, the result was that the mist spread throughout the entire world. And so basically we saw global Terrigenesis. Now, what ended up happening here is that a multitude of Inhumans from all over the world began to go into their cocoon phases and then emerge as Inhumans, but not everybody went to Attilan. Not everybody went to become part of the Inhuman royal family. In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, anybody who comes into contact with these crystals dies. And so the question is, are we going to see some kind of global pandemic? Are we going to see a huge reduction in the non-Inhuman population in the Marvel Cinematic Universe? This is really a question we don't have the answer to, but I would go as far as to say that given what's been established so far, the answer is most likely yes, that there are going to be a litany of people who are going to die. But again, we don't know this off the top of our heads. Now, the final question on our list comes in the form of what in the hell happened to Jemma Simmons? What is that rock? What in God's name is going on? Okay, guys. I literally spent probably about 6 or 7 hours after the show went off. I got off Skype, I put music on, I ignored all distractions, and I poured over every bit of information I could possibly find to find some variation or some instance of what in the world this stone is in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, this giant thing that turns to liquid and then turns back into a solid form again. There's only a couple things that I've come to an absolute conclusion on with this thing in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The first thing is that it changes its form whenever Inhumans are present, and it does it in about a 5-second window. When Gordon and Raina first show up, the stone waits about 5 seconds, and then it changes its form into the form where it has the 3 little holes in the front and then, holes dotted elsewhere. And then when we see that Bobby Morris, when we see that Mockingbird is walking away, that its form is different because now it's surrounded by humans. This, I think, is really interesting. It really seems to give some idea. But aside from that, we don't know anything. And the reason for that is because Jeff Bell, one of the executive producers for the show, during an interview, which I'll have a link in the description, he said that they're not drawing on any comic-related content for this thing. Basically, they made this up for the TV show. There's nothing in the comics that has anything to do with this. And so that makes sense why I couldn't find anything. So if this is really a red herring, if he's simply just leading us on and he's trying to knock us astray and there's something like this that exists in the comics, I don't know what it is. And I feel like I've looked over everything. So, but the fact remains, we know that the contract of Elizabeth Henstridge, the woman that plays Jemma Simmons, her contract hasn't expired and it hasn't ended. So she's alive, or presumably she's alive in the show, but where she is in truth is anybody's guess. I have no idea. So With that being said, I hope that answered your all's questions. I hope that kind of got you a little more into what in the world's going on. But again, this is a very confusing time, so I'm very anxious to see what happens when the next season starts. With that being said, I will catch you guys later. Peace.